country is affordable housing. When you increase the price of steel, then you increase the price of cement, etc. How do you get affordable houses? This is another retrograde stuff. They have tinkered with cement. Every 2 or 3 years, once in 2 or 3 years, they tinker with cement. If not every year. This time, they have again brought it under a double net, specific ad valorem. And the cement industry tells me that they have to raise the prices marginally. Already, Mamata's minister has raised railway freight tariff by about 20,000 crores. Now this budget, according to minister, is about 49,000 crores. So about 70,000 crores has been imposed on the economy in just 1 week. It has never happened in post-independent history. 70,000 crores. And cars are going to be costlier. We have spared diesel cars. So companies like Ford should be very happy. They were pleading with the minister that they should not touch diesel cars. So they have escaped. But larger cars, that is virtual chariots, all these SUVs are chariots as far as Indian roads are concerned. So they have gone up. So no tears for them also. So if you buy a large car, if you are going to do it now after budget, you should be prepared to pay 27% now. That's the rate for a luxury car. If you import it, then it is 60%. But if it is a small car, it has gone up from 10 to 12%. Car is becoming a middle class item. It is no longer considered a luxury. But for tax policy makers, it is still treated as a luxury item in this country. And of course, for the first time, cigarettes are brought under MRP-based excise taxation. So whenever a commodity is brought under MRP-based excise taxation, the result is that the rate doubles. When in 1996, the then Finance Minister Chidambaram introduced slowly this MRP-based excise, there was no protest. It virtually doubled excise duty. I'll give you an example. I was in tax administration at that time. For example, take a company like Britannia. Britannia manufactures only 40% of its biscuits from its own factories. Remaining 60% it gets from job workers. Take a packet like a Good Day butter. What is the cost? What is the cost of a 100 gram Good Day biscuit packet? 12, 13 or 14. But Britannia gets it at around 5 to 6 rupees from a job worker. So earlier, according to a Supreme Court judgment, when a job worker delivered goods to the principal party, the excise valuation depended upon a Supreme Court judgment. The value of the raw material supplied plus the labor. It was not based on the transaction value of the ultimate party. So the prices were cheap. But when excise was put on the MRP, it virtually doubled. So of course there was an abatement. From 13 rupees you get 30% off. So you have to pay at 9 rupees and 60 paise. But earlier they were paying excise at 5 rupees. Now they were paying excise at 9 rupees and 60. So the excise duty doubled. But the minister said he did not take into account the tax effect. I am only changing the way excise duty is calculated. It is there in the notification. I leave it to the members of the parliament. So whenever a product is brought under MRP-based indirect taxation, the net effect is that the tax is virtually double. That is going to happen for cigarette, but of course, no tears for smokers. And as usual, they have targeted pan masala, gutka, etc., etc. They are getting taxed more and more, in the hope that people who are hooked to these things will continue to be hooked. And as far as ready-mades are concerned, they have increased the abatement to 70% so as to compensate for the hike from 10 to 12%. But people in the industry tell me that the result is a marginal saving which they will not pass on. It is too small to pass on. And take an item like footwear. Footwear up to 500 rupees per pair is exempted. Can you get footwear for that price in a city? Except for a small chappal which people only wear at home. Of course, if you talk about army in villages, that's different. But take any middle class man, can he get a pair of footwear for just 500 rupees? That only is exempted, and earlier there was an exemption available up to 750 rupees. Footwear exceeding 250 but not exceeding 750 rupees, enjoyed some concessional excise. Now that has been removed and only footwear up to 500 rupees per pair is allowed an exemption. So the net effect is that all kinds of footwear will go up in price. And as Mr. Bhanushekar was talking about jewellery, this budget can be remembered for the shooting practice on jewellery. Excise and customs has targeted, you can see this. See, there is something wrong with the policy that encourages investment but targets personal cultural consumption. Whether an Indian is a rich man or a poor man, during the time of a wedding, you buy the bulk of your jewelry in the family. When you invest in gold coins, you pay no excise duty. When you buy jewelry for your family wedding, you have to suffer a tax. This is the message that has gone out in the budget. Gold coins of purity, 99.5% plus, continues to be exempt. Who buys gold, John? Those who want to have it as a kind of investment. That is exempted. But when you buy your family gold, you have to shell out tax. And it has doubled from 1.5 to 3, where the jeweler buys the refinery made gold, and when jewelry units sell back to DTA, from 5% it has gone up to 10%. And all, see, earlier gold jewelry was taxed only when the gold jewelry bore a brand name. Now all kinds of gold jewelry except silver is exempted. All kinds of, I don't think that many people will buy silver jewelry. I have not seen many women wearing only silver jewelry. Okay, so this country is inclined towards gold only. So all kinds of gold jewelry are now targeted. They are taxed at 1%, but now the government has fixed a tariff value. They do not believe the invoice value of a gold jeweler. So whatever is in invoice value, I will take 30%. And they have also targeted automotive chassis. Again, the rate has gone up marginally from 15% and 25% for two classes of chassis. They have gone up from 10 and 22%, and the specific duty of 10,000 rupees has been abolished. See, in cement, they have brought back a double excise, ad valorem plus specific. But for chassis, they are going back to ad valorem. Earlier, there was a view that they should levy only ad valorem. They should not have such combinations. Because these combinations of taxation are opaque. We don't know what has gone on behind these moves. They are not transparent. But we have this for automotive industry. And another cause of worry is that on crude petroleum, excise cess has gone up from 2,500 to 4,500 rupees. And they have interfered with the shipping practices also. And people don't know what is the rationale behind this particular move. Conversion of shipping license from postal trade to general license would lose exemption. So people don't understand. Whom they are trying to punish is a moot point. And you would have seen all the papers yesterday and today. Mobile phones are going to cost less. In this country, 90% of the sales are large multinationals. It doesn't benefit any Indian company because not many Indian companies are selling mobile phones. So mobile phones OE equipment parts are exempt, but not when cleared as spares. And such spares will be taxed at a marginal rate of 2%, but without being able to avail send-back credit facility. And of course, there are some sweeteners for some items. You can have a look at it. Excise has been reduced from, it's not 105, it's 10% to 6% on iodine, processed soya foods, parts of blood pressure monitors, LED lamps, etc. and then matches manufactured by semi-mechanized units. And then I will come to the legislative changes in central excise. We should be worried about the legislative changes in central excise. Prosecution has been changed. Now the duty limit for prosecution is 30 lakhs. All the papers have dutifully reported that prosecution limit has been enhanced from 1 lakh rupees to 30 lakhs. People are happy. But even though 1 lakh was set in section 9 of Central Excise Act, by an administrative order, it already stood at 25 lakhs for a long number of years. This 25 lakhs was set more than 10 years ago. It should have been enhanced to 1 crore. Now this power of prosecution has been more abused than properly used. I want to tell you anything. The recent CBI arrest of a senior official of DRA had to do with the threat of prosecution. That is preventive detention under copy person. I worked as assistant commissioner in an organization that dealt with the forfeiture of property. So this is a big power in the hands of customs officials, recommending preventive detention under copy person or recommending prosecution. More abused than really used. And there has been no study whether the power to arrest and the power to prosecute has curbed duty evasion in this country. Who are the people who were arrested and prosecuted? There is no study at all. No committee has been. In fact, there was a suggestion from the chambers that the prosecution provision should be marginalized, should be liberalized further, but it has not happened. So this is held out as a threat. When you get a raid, and when the matter goes beyond 25 lakhs, or now it is 30 lakhs, they will always say, we can arrest you. What do you say? Do as I say. Look after us. It's quite possible. You have to buy your freedom. And now, you would have seen, 2 months back, there was a landmark judgment from the Supreme Court, Om Prakash versus Union of India. Supreme Court told the government, what is your Central Excise Act, your Customs Act and your Service Tax law? It is a revenue law. It is not Indian Penal Code. Your motive is not to punish. Your motive is not to put people in jail. It is not a Rowlatt Act. It is a revenue act. Your motive is to take revenues. Punishment is only incidental. So your offences cannot be equated with offences under Indian Penal Code. So you cannot arrest like a police officer. And even if you are arrested, if you claim you had such a power under your own act, you have to give instant bail. If the arrestee is willing, then you must give bail immediately. So like Vodafone, we were also expecting some changes on this front. All the enforcement officials were